What's up, guys? So I wanted to make this video for anyone that's thinking about doing this to their car, or maybe you're just curious, whatever. I'm just gonna go through a couple of questions that I was wondering when I was researching this exhaust mod. This exhaust mod is muffler delete, straight pipe. I recycled the stock exhaust tips just because I really like the look of the sport exhaust tip. So the exhaust tips are stock, that whole end is stock. I left the primary caps in place because I still need this to pass smog. This isn't just a track car. Actually, I haven't even tracked it yet. That's in the future, but I'm not too comfortable with my heel-toe shifting yet. So until then, I'll probably wait on the tracking this car. But when I was thinking about doing this to my car, I took a little bit of a risk because when I was looking online on YouTube, I was reading the Planet 9 forums, the Renlist forums. I didn't find too much info on people that have done this to their car. The only posts I found were not very informative. So hopefully you guys found these questions helpful. If I missed anything, shoot me a comment down below and I'll try to answer whatever you guys throw at me. So first question, I was wondering when I was researching this before I got it, and I'm sure what all you guys are here for is how loud is it? What does it sound like? Pretty freaking loud. It might not be that clear from the videos. I know it's really not like experiencing exhaust in real life. So to give it some comparison, I've definitely heard Harley Davidson motorcycles that are way louder. It's not mind-blowingly loud. I'd compare it to a Mustang with Borla exhaust, but when it's driving near you, you don't get that feeling of ground shaking. It's not anything obnoxious, especially at low RPM, and actually really doesn't start to scream until you get it like above 4,000 RPM. It's especially on the lower end. If you're just cruising along down the street and you're not heavy-footed or just driving like an asshole, you should be fine. As you guys know, exhaust noise is basically a combination of your throttle input, the load, and your RPM. So there's actually or with any car, I guess, but especially with this, if you find that sweet spot, you can actually almost completely eliminate all the exhaust noise. And it's actually not as hard as it sounds to find that sweet spot. So if you're trying to cruise past some CHP or just going through an area where you don't want to draw too much attention, shift it in the right higher gear, really, really light throttle input. Disclaimer, I do not daily drive this car. I would not recommend it. I have a daily driver that I use, so I don't have to deal with this every day. But daily driving, I would be fine with it, I think. Not that it would bug me too much. It's just I drive 500 miles a week to work. Be a little unbearable anyways in Bay Area traffic. For everyone else's sake around me and for fear of getting pulled over or whatnot, probably best not to. It also depends how you drive. The throttle response is super, super sensitive. So the difference of just a centimeter or two on that throttle is a huge, huge sound difference back here. So I feel like personally, I think it makes me a better driver because it makes me a little more aware of what I'm doing with my car. So mind you, I don't have to deal with this every single day. This is more of a weekend canyon carver for me, which I absolutely love it. Everything about it. Every single time I get in this car, I'm completely in love with it. Sometimes I'll think I'm over it, get back in the car for a weekend after having driven it all week, start it up, and I remember this is what I came here for. I have driven it to LA in a road trip. It's not bad for me. It gets really loud and you're just cruising on Highway 5 going about 85, 90. You just have this constant, not drone, but it's loud in there. It's kind of hard to hold a conversation. My passenger that was with me, I can tell, was starting to get a little irritated with it near the end of the trip, but didn't really bug me that much, but maybe I'm psycho, I like exhaust sounds, whatever. And the whole exhaust sound thing, is it bearable? That also is pretty subjective. If you are like me and you can't get enough of it, you're gonna love the shit out of it. Just go for it. Save yourself couple $1,000, get this. Another question people ask is how much does it cost? I got it done at a good shop, a reputable shop, for $350. It's way better than any aftermarket exhaust option you'll find online. I was looking at Soul Performance, I was looking at Borla, I was looking at, I forget, there's a whole bunch of other aftermarket ones I was looking at. I'm so happy I went with this decision because it cost me $300, which is about a quarter of what the cheapest aftermarket catback sounds like, and it sounds pretty much the exact way I want it to. I have absolutely no complaints with it on my end, so I'm pretty in love with it. I'm not so much sure about everyone else around me, but I'll get into that later. So another big question I had and other people have asked me before, does it throw check engine lights? Will it pass smog? Is it road legal? Is it track legal? All that bureaucratic bullshit. It will not throw check engine lights because the O2 sensors are only around the first pair of cats all the way up in the header. However, a secondary pair of cats in the muffler, and since that's removed, those secondary cats are gone. Is that an issue? No, it'll still pass smog when the primary cats are warmed up. The secondary cats are pretty much only there to filter out all that nasty shit when the car is still warming up and the primary cats aren't up to operating temperature yet. So as long as your car is warm, it'll pass smog. It depends on the smog check place. You might fail the visual inspection, or if you know a place, maybe you might be alright. Check engine lights, again, like I said, as long as you don't touch the primary cats so the O2 sensors aren't affected, you're fine. Legality though, totally legal. Technically, I don't know how chill the law enforcement is in your area, but here in California we're pretty liberal. You see cars with modified exhausts all the time. As long as you're not driving like an asshole, you'll probably be okay. And like I said again, I don't drive this every day. Track legal. Tracks with noise limits, I wouldn't be surprised if it failed a couple of them. Even full race exhaust, they'll have some kind of muffler. There's absolutely nothing. So you just hear the flat 6 wail, and that's pretty much it. So technically, neither street legal nor track legal, depending where you go. But street legality, California, they're pretty lax with car mods here. Just don't drive like an asshole, you'll be okay. What do people think about it? And like I said, depends how much you like exhaust noises. Car people love the shit out of it. They think it's the coolest thing ever. Old people, probably not so much. What do you think of my exhaust?
Feel like
Exhaust.
it's too loud. It's too loud.
Oh, killing.
It's loud and crazy.
Another little side note. I honestly think it kind of makes you a better driver because, like I said earlier, you have to be much more aware of what you're doing with your feet at all times. A little centimeter on the throttle, big sound difference back there, so it makes you a little more aware. This car came with a sport exhaust, which still way too quiet for what I wanted it. If I'm going to spend all this money on a car, I might as well have it sound exactly the way I want it. So the stock sport exhaust, nowhere near loud enough. I found myself on the freeway a lot just revving it pretty hard or staying in a lower gear way longer just to hear that exhaust note. And if you have heard one of these with sport exhaust, you know about the sport exhaust, and you'll know that it doesn't really kick in until you're above 4,000 RPM and the exhaust valves will open. And even then they close when you get above 5,000. So there's a pretty narrow range when you get that flat 6 Porsche sound. But with this, all the time, all day, you can hear it whenever you want. All it takes is a little bit of throttle input. You don't get a lot of wail under 3,000. You don't get any wail under 3,000. It does pop a lot under deceleration and downshifting, which I like. It's really nice. So if you're thinking about doing this to your naturally aspirated Porsche, it'll sound like this. This is the 987.1 before the facelift, so this is not the DFI engine. The 987.2 and 981 generations, those have a little more horsepower, so it might sound a little beefier even. I don't know, I've never heard one. but I can't imagine it being a whole different universe. I have driven a 718 Boxster S. That was pretty... It's okay. Sound-wise, the car is amazing. Sound, a lot of pops and gurgles, especially in the downshifts, which I find awesome. It's a lot bassier, a lot more low-end. It's not for me. Great car, like I said. Improvement in every way except for the sound. Not a flat 4 kind of guy. Maybe yet. I'll grow into it, maybe, who knows. But right now, naturally aspirated, flat 6 whale, wide open, no muffler.
No quiero que me rechace, y es que no voy a cambiar.